Here's that American exceptionalism again. Everybody would be speaking German if it wasn't for the United States, eh? You are aware that America did not win World War II alone, right? And they were super late to the party. And no, none of us would be speaking German if they weren't there. We would have been just fine. Might have taken us a little longer, but we would have been just fine. If there's one thing that Americans love, it's bragging about how they saved the world after World War II, right? Because according to them, without the good old US of A, the rest of us would be goose-stepping through the rest of our lives, speaking German and worshipping Mustache Man, okay? They act like they were the superhero that swooped in right at the last second to save the day. Here's the problem with that theory, though. It's not true, okay? World War II started in 1939 when Germany invaded Poland. Britain and France immediately declared war. Meanwhile, the United States, it was sitting on the sidelines, like minding its own business for over 2 years, okay? While the Europeans were actually bombed to hell and back, and the US stayed neutral. And by the time they finally jumped in, after Japan actually bombed Pearl Harbor in December 1941, the UK had already survived the Battle of Britain, and the Soviet Union was in an all-out, blood-soaked fight with schmaltzy Germany. The war had been going on for a long time, my guy, and millions of people already, The Soviet Union actually did the most fighting against Schmittler, okay? That's the part that always gets erased in American war movies. The USSR was the main reason that schmaltzy Germany lost, okay? So let's put this into perspective. So about 80% of German military deaths actually happened on the Eastern Front, where they were fighting the Soviets. The Battle of Stalingrad from 1942 to 1943 was one of the deadliest battles in history, and it marked the beginning of Germany's downfall. By the time that the US landed in Normandy on D-Day in 1944, the Soviets were already pushing the schmatzis back towards Berlin. And yes, D-Day was important, but it wasn't the reason that Germany lost. The schmatzis were already losing badly because of the Soviet Union. Without the Soviets, no amount of American firepower would have been enough to take down Germany alone. So again, I need you to remember, other countries were fighting long before the United States showed up. And it wasn't just the Soviets during the heavy lifting. It was the UK, it was Canada, Australia, China, France, okay? Including resistance fighters. And many others were fighting in the Axis before the US even got involved, okay? The UK fought off a full-scale German invasion attempt in 1940. The French resistance carried out sabotage missions that helped fight the schmatzis from within occupied France, okay? War is never a one-man job. It is a team effort. And the US wasn't even one of the first ones to pick up a weapon. This American exceptionalism bullshit of, you'd all be speaking German without us, is one of the dumbest arguments Americans love to make. If it wasn't for us, you'd all be goose-stepping. No, we wouldn't, okay? Here's why. Germany never had the resources to take over the whole world. They struggled to hold on to land that they did conquer, and resistance movements were active everywhere. Britain was never conquered. Even when they were bombed non-stop, they wouldn't surrender. So the Soviet Union was already turning the tide, okay? Schmittler bit off way more than he could chew when he decided to invade Russia, and it cost him everything. Because even if the US had never entered the war, schmaltzy Germany was doomed from the moment that they failed to take Moscow and got trapped in brutal battles within the Soviets, okay? The US helped, but they didn't do it alone. Let's be clear, okay? The US did help. Their industrial power was a game changer, and they provided supplies and weapons and troops that definitely made a difference. But helping isn't the same as single-handedly winning, okay? And after the war, the US pushed this whole we saved the world narrative because it made them look good. Hollywood ran with it, schools taught it, and now generations of Americans genuinely believe that they were the only reason that Schmittler lost. And it's not just wrong, it is insulting to the millions of people from other countries who fought and were unalived. So, dear America, you're not that special. The myth of American exceptionalism isn't just about World War II. It's part of a bigger problem. This idea that America is one of the greatest countries that ever was, and the rest of the world owes them everything. The truth is, they're just another country. Yeah, it's a big, powerful one, but it's not the sole hero of history. So no, America, we wouldn't be speaking German without you. The world doesn't revolve around you, and it never did.